guys, welcome back to Seeded Sports. Today we have with us Aditi Chauhan, India star goalkeeper, founder of SheKicks, sports analyst and commentator. Aditi, you're wearing so many caps that it's getting difficult to keep a count on. कि Aditi क्या क्या कर रही है? You're featuring in endorsement videos, you're featuring in magazine covers, and you're doing so much of work. Thank you so much, first of all, for joining us.
It's my pleasure, Shada, and I love the t-shirt that you're wearing.
SheKicks. My first question, Aditi, is what do you think of yourself? How do you see Aditi Chauhan?
Obviously, playing football is one of the things that I do. But majboori kaho ya opportunities that have come my way, I've always been open to exploring them because I do understand that I can't be a player throughout my life. Unfortunately, there's a time limit to how long we can play competitively. But apart from that, I had to, women's football, वैसे भी अगर बात करें तो it's not really a professional sport. We can't really make a living out of playing professionally. So मजबूरी इसलिए मैं कहती हूँ कि मजबूरी भी कह सकते हैं कि I had to figure out other ways to make money, other ways to earn a living. So that was also a case. But obviously there is a hustler in me. There is a part of me that wants to explore more things, that wants to see what else I can do, where else can I fit in, and how else can I support or be part of the sports industry or be part of football. That's what has honestly kept me going and led me to all of these different paths and doing different things.
When you started your career as a professional footballer, did you imagine yourself doing so many things?
Not at all, honestly, not at all. In fact, when I was playing, also getting into broadcasting and doing commentary was never on the agenda. Never even thought that I could do something like that or I wanted to do something like that. But when the opportunity came my way, I took some time to actually, really make up my mind that if I wanted to do this, because no other female commentator has been there, covered the World Cup, which is a huge thing very early on in my broadcasting days. So obviously those were big milestones for me which pushed me further into this field, and obviously I slowly and gradually started enjoying it. Also because that was one way for me to stay connected with the sport while I was away because of injury. So anything that could keep me close to the sport and keep me involved in it, I enjoyed that, and that's what happened.
Yeah, you spoke about the injury, and we all saw what happened. How have you been coping? And I've regularly been seeing your recovery videos, but that's just a glimpse of what we see on social media. I'm sure the journey behind comes to mental health and physical health must have been really difficult.
Yeah, it makes me emotional every time people talk about or ask me about my injury and the rehab journey, because it's been a very long journey. I remember like the first time when I was told that I've injured my ACL again. My first reaction was, this is it. I'm not playing again. I want to retire. I want to quit and all of that. But I'm very fortunate that I have right people around me. My family, especially my mom, was right from the first day. Like, she and my physio also, when I spoke to him, he was like, yeah, just take your time. Obviously the immediate reaction is that, but when I took some time, processed what has happened, and really took a look at myself, what my journey has been, what people see me or associate me, or not just people, I think myself, what I wanted to be associated with, how I wanted to be seen. I like, obviously at that point there was a point when I told myself I'm not a quitter. I've never done that, and that's not who I want to be. I will what happens in the future. I That's not in my control. Whether I make it back, whether I can play at the same level or not, that's not in my control. But what's in my control is putting in the work every day, which is not easy. Obviously, in a rehab journey, unfortunately it's not a progressive graph, smooth progress that you see. You go through so many ups and downs, emotional, physical, mental, all of it, and every day you have to find a motivation. Every day you have to find a way to get up and go through the process, go through the grind every day, which is hard, which obviously a lot of the time, lot of many points through this journey also, I've also come to a point where, why am I doing this? What is all of this for? What am I going to achieve? Is it even worth it? You go through so many questions and challenges mentally. But I'm glad that I've gone through it. I've had some wonderful people around me who, every time I've kind of moved away from that path, they've put me back into the right path and right headspace for me to keep going and keep doing the work. Even today, when I speak to my mom, I'm always like, I don't know how much or how long I can play. Obviously, I want to play and I want to be at the top, or the level that I was at. But I'm satisfied that from my end, I've given it everything. I've put in the work. I've put the put in the time, effort, and the work that was needed, and hopefully that can give me the results that I desire. But that's not in my control, unfortunately. But I'll keep doing things that are in my control, and that is the satisfaction that I'll take away.
Yeah. And I think, and you're not giving yourself enough credit, because the kind of strength that you have shown, Aditi, I think it's just tremendous. And every video that I see of yours just motivates me to to do better, to at least go out and try to do something about things.
Thank you. That's honestly the biggest thing for me. It's not about the results, it's about the process. You enjoy the process, you enjoy the journey, and that's what I've enjoyed. I think obviously it takes time, and sometimes you have to kind of put yourself back and reset. But yeah, my aim has always been to just enjoy the journey, enjoy going to the gym, putting in the work. It's not easy, honestly, putting 3 to 4 hours doing recovery and all of that every day. When you can prioritize something else, it's so easy to kind of not do this and prioritize something else and actually build something, that you can do after your playing career. So that was always, those are things that you keep contemplating, you keep trying to figure out, reset the priorities. That's what I'm saying, like, it's not easy, but I'm glad that I've made it through, and I'm at this point where I can go back to the ground and feel happy. Honestly, I was so emotional after my first training session back on the field. I'd never imagined that I would be able to move the way I did, and be able to take the intensity and the load that I took, and come out of that session feeling okay, feeling fine. I honestly got very, very emotional. I was so happy. I called my mom, I called my friends. I'm just telling them, this is a win for me. This is a win for me. That's what I've been putting the work in for, and just happy being on the ground and doing what I've always enjoyed doing.
Yeah. And of course, apart from all of this, you were also still doing the commentating work, the analyst work, and you were also still, you're still building SheKicks.
Yeah, yeah.
Did it kind of help you in the process by distracting you also a bit from the injury, or did it sort of add on to the struggle? Because I'm sure, like managing all of this is not that easy.
It's both, actually. To be honest, it was a conscious decision that I wanted to do broadcasting while I was doing this, because from my experience from the first ACL, mentally it can be so taxing if you rehab every day. You come back from your session and you're feeling, you're always questioning and you're always thinking, oh, how am I feeling? How is it progressing? Oh, it feels, it doesn't feel the way it used to feel yesterday. It felt yesterday. So there's no point of doing all of that. You're just hampering your progress also, in my opinion. So that's why when I first had my ACL, that's when SheKicks came about. I wanted to invest that time, energy, and my brain actually to in something constructive, where I could invest my thoughts, and I could actually do something constructive. So that's when SheKicks happened. This time I had the opportunity to do broadcasting, which was great for me because it kept me busy. It again, why I say it was both, because I do feel that if I had not done broadcasting and only focused on rehab, maybe I could have recovered quicker. But that's always something that you keep thinking, and your ifs and buts always are there. But at the end of the day, I am satisfied with the decisions I took in the situation that I was in, and I have to live with that, and I'm happy with that. I don't regret anything. This is my life, this is my journey, and the decisions, I have to accept and be happy with the results that come from those decisions.
Yeah. And also, I mean, another question that pops to my mind is that, when you are watching a match through the perspective of an analyst, or, from a broadcasting perspective, you see things that maybe you won't see as an athlete or as an audience. So
Mm.
has your perspective towards the game changed in some way, or are there things that now you can see about Indian football that you think that, you know better? and we can do better?
Well, I mean, doing commentary for the ISL matches and also some international matches has given me a good perspective of understanding of men's football as well, football in India in general. But honestly, like I was happy to bring the perspective of a player in commentary, and also I think it also helps me stay in the game and still think of the situations that are happening. What could the keeper have done better? What could the player have done better? Or how this situation shaped up? What led to that situation? So you're still involved, you're still mentally in the game. I think that was helpful, and that was the reason why I enjoyed it, because you're always, that's what, as keepers, that's what you're what you're supposed to. You anticipate, you analyze, you assess the situation, and that's what I was able to do as a commentator as well. So that was another reason why I enjoyed it. But I also want to add that, initially I said that majboori bhi keh sakte hai, because I had to make money as well. I had to earn a living.
Now you're, of course, developing SheKicks. You are training so many young girls under the umbrella of SheKicks. What are the things that you think need to be done?
When I was doing my thesis on, when I was completing my sports management degree in the UK, and I did my thesis on women's football in UK, in England, and how they've grown over these years, because obviously England mein women's football was banned for 50 years, and then now the progress that the women's team has made in the last few years is immense. So I wanted to understand what was the reason behind it, and what was clear was there was a proper planning done for not just like 5 years or 2 year plan. It was a proper 15-year plan that went in, that was made by the FA in collaboration with the Premier League clubs. Initially, when the WSL started, there was an agreement or arrangement between the FA and the Premier League clubs, that half of the money, the money that was paid to the players, will be funded by the FA, and so that there's not an overload on the clubs also, that they're not asked to do everything. There is some sort of support from the FA. Obviously, the Premier League clubs also pitched in, please cover half, and that's how you grow. There's a whole system now. Obviously, more funding coming into the grassroots of women's football in the UK. So that's what is needed. You need to have people who are genuinely interested, and there is to kind of figure out the plan. What works in, or what worked in UK might not work in India. We'll have to figure out our own way or our own structure in that sense to promote both men and women's football. Obviously, men's football is also not doing great at international level, and we need to figure out the reason why. Similarly, with women's football, I feel like there's been a decline, honestly, in terms of the results. A tournament like SAF, which we dominated, honestly, I remember early days when I used to be like, why do we keep playing SAF, and we get so happy when we win SAF? We need to be challenging for bigger tournaments, bigger challenges. And now I feel like SAF also we're struggling to win. We're struggling to make it to the final. So that shows that the progress that the other countries are making, we're not making the same kind of progress. We're taking things for granted. We're just assuming, yes, it's India, so we have to be in the final. Unless you put the work in, no result is guaranteed. So I think there's a lot to be done. There is potential, but I still feel that lack of planning, lack of proper structure is hindering our progress.
Yeah. On that point, like, when I started following Indian football, people used to say that women team will qualify for the World Cup before the men team does. Do you see that 2031 we can qualify?
If we start planning from today, yes, we can. If we start implementing the plan from today or tomorrow, yes, we can. But at this point, the way things are going, I don't think it's realistic to assume that just because we're ranked better than the men's team, we'll qualify for the Olympics. There needs to be real work put in. Unless that is in place, I don't think we can.
IWL, we are still repeating some of the things that we are doing in the ISL. There are foreign players. There's
Yeah.
that kind of a luxury that the teams have. But how are we going so wrong in the national team?
That's a heavy question. Honestly, like you can't compare the level of IWL to international football. Honestly, that's the real thing. The level that we have at IWL is not the level that international level is quite high. There are a lot, I've seen there are a lot of players who are very impressive in IWL in that competition, and at the moment they join the national team and start playing the international matches, they don't stand a chance, because the physicality, the intensity of the game, it just simple things like the intensity of your training sessions when you're playing for clubs in IWL is not that intense that we see and that we go through in the national team setup. That makes a huge difference. The When you're not able to cope with that, and then comes the tactical bits, then comes the technical bits. Obviously, there also we have a lot of catching up to do. But just in terms of even to last for 90 minutes or 90 plus minutes, that's a challenge. So right from the basic things to the technical and tactical things, there are a lot of things that are different when you compare IWL level to international level.
There are, of course, certain clubs that are trying to do certain, different things also. Odisha FC, now they've qualified for the AFC Champions League. What are your thoughts on some of these clubs who are trying to do something different?
I mean, it's great that club ISL club like Odisha FC is put in a team, but I still feel that there's a lot of work to be done at the grassroots level, where you actually train, you spot, you scout the talent, and then put them in a system that can be progressive. Then you overload them, make them go through the training session throughout the year, and give them the right environment, a professional environment to grow. A lot of teams have come up in the past, it's at the IWL level or at the senior division level in every state. But I still feel these clubs are not doing enough at the grassroots level. They're not building their own players. They're not scouting. There are a lot of clubs that are just getting players, who are already made or who are already playing at a certain level. They are being transferred from one club to the other, and they are basically being rotated. But not enough work is being done to grow or actually build your own players at the grassroots level, scout them, and actually do the dirty work. That's the hard work that needs to be done, where I feel we're lacking.
Yeah. And the frequency of rotation in women's football in India is so much higher than that in men's football. But Aditi, in a system like this, okay, I really have to, in a system like this where, like the IWL status this, Indian national team status this, you went ahead and started SheKicks.
Yeah.
In some ways it's a very brave step, but in some ways it's also, very challenging.
Yeah. It is, honestly, it's been very, very challenging. The thought and the reason why I started SheKicks was purely because when I went to UK and signed for West Ham, that was all done by myself. I figured out the wave. I figured out which university, because at that time, this was in 2013-14, when I was trying to figure out which university, what courses. That at that time there was no sports industry in India. There were no sports courses or career options in India. At that moment, for me to and for my family to support that decision was huge. And when I went to UK to study, the intention was always to come back to India and do something in sports. I didn't know what at that point, and what could I do. But I just knew that sports is what made me happy. I wanted to just be involved in sports, even if I don't make a lot of money, if I'm not living a luxurious life. That's not the aim. I wanted to be happy doing what I'm doing. That was the reason why I did sports management. And fortunately, when I went to UK, I had the university experience, played for West Ham, got a sense and understanding of what a professional environment looks like, what the system is in the UK. And I felt, and obviously the news was covered widely, and I felt, that's great, because then it will bring a lot of eyeballs to women's football in India and help put a structure and grow the sport in India. But when I came back, unfortunately, that wasn't the reality. And I felt the situation was still the same at the grassroots level. So my thought was just to, contribute or just play a small part in someone else's life, just to make this journey a little bit easier. I knew the challenges and the struggle that I faced. I was fortunate to kind of figure out these things, but not everybody can. And I knew that there's no dearth of talent in India. Only if we can provide a structure, if we can provide a pathway for these girls, maybe we'll have better results. But obviously, this has also not been very easy. Just getting girls to play football has been a challenge. Trying to convince every girl that comes in, we have to first convince the parents, make them understand what the future is, why you want them to play. Every time have the same conversation. And also financially, it wasn't viable. Not enough girls coming up. Even the girls who did come, some of them or most of them didn't come from family that could actually pay to play. Then we have to figure out what else can we do. That's the reason why then I set up the foundation, so that we can raise some money and fund the training program, and they don't have to pay just the selected girls can train for free. We provide them everything that's needed for them to get their achieve their potential. So financially also doing everything while having an active career and doing all of the other things that I was doing has been a huge challenge for me. And that's why I also feel that that's been a reason why I've not been able to be as consistent as I would have liked or grow at the rate I would have liked. But all of this has been a learning experience. And I do understand that maybe slow progress is better than no progress. And I have to be satisfied with that because there was a time when I felt like I was stretching myself too thin, doing all of these things. And mentally also, it gets really exhausting when you're trying to figure out all of these things, trying to figure out where can I raise money from, how do I figure out the next training session? How do I pay my coaches? How do I pay for the commute of these girls? So, it was very taxing at some point. And that's the reason why I felt like maybe I need to just slow down a bit and prioritize my health as well, prioritize myself as well. But yeah, the journey is still ongoing. I'm still as passionate as I was on day one, but I know that everything takes time and there's a time for everything. So that's where I'm at right now. And hopefully, once I stop playing, once I retire, once this is the only thing that I'm doing, I'm pretty sure that we can achieve the target that I've set for myself. What I want to achieve with SheKicks, hopefully sooner than later.
I mean, can you tell us the target, or do you want to keep it personal?
The target has always been to grow our own players, build right from scout them at a young age, let them go through the professional environment that needs to be built around them, right from SNC, your nutrition, education, your training based on the age, and then have your own grown players play for the club and hopefully progress to the IWL.
I think you're also one of the few athletes in India who are observing the other side of sports, which is, like working with different brands. You recently featured in a magazine cover. You went to play at Old Trafford. And then, there's this other brand video that I saw of Rexona. How was that experience like?
Obviously, these things I never imagined I had be able to experience these things, and these opportunities will come my way. Very glad that I'm also able to understand the brand's perspective as well, understand the commercial side of sport as well, which is very important. As athletes, you have certain expectations. Why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening? But running my own, company, the foundation, and being involved in all of these things has given me a good perspective of the other side, the background of these companies, or how sports runs, what are the commercial side of it, how, because at the end of the day you still have to make things commercially viable. You have to make it able to sustain, for things to sustain. So that, I feel like that's also been a huge advantage for me, that I understand things from both the angles or both the sides very well.
I also wanted to touch upon Vinesh Phogat. She was disqualified from the Olympics. Pictures that were coming out, it's just so devastating to see her in this situation. She was up all night trying to reduce all the weight that she'd gained. Can you throw some light on, what an athlete's journey is like that in situations such as this?
And it's just unbelievable to see Vinesh at this level. I was just going through the journey that she's been through, two ACL surgeries, and the last one being just like 1 year ago. And I know how difficult it is to come back from an ACL injury, especially in a sport like wrestling, where it is, you never know what can happen there. To then put on a show and defeat world number one and go on to the final, the gold medal match, was just unbelievable. She's a champion no matter what. That's the mindset. It's a champion's mindset. To go through obviously the protest last year and to be able to physically be in a condition to compete and get to the gold medal stages, for me, it's unbelievable. Like massive respect for her to be able to do that. I cannot imagine what she must be going through right now. It's heartbreaking. It's a small word, I feel, because imagine after going through all of that, an opportunity like that, and that Olympics comes once in 4 years. So it's not like ठीक है ये वाला tournament नहीं तो next वाला tournament कर लेंगे. Olympics ऐसे नहीं होता है, और to get to the finals is even more difficult in Olympics. So next opportunity will be 4 years from now. Who knows if she wants to continue, or if she can continue or not. We honestly hope she does. We'd love to see that story, end properly, how it was supposed to. I'm sure it's going to take her a lot of time, a lot of support would be needed for her to come out of this and be in a place to start enjoying the sport again. I think that is the first thing. You don't mind the hard work when you're enjoying the sport. You don't mind putting in the work. You don't mind the early hours, the late practices, lengthy practices. You're going to the gym, recovery, all of that, because you enjoy the sport. And I hope she still has that love and she can continue. But it is honestly truly heartbreaking for her. Obviously, it is for us, but I cannot imagine what she must be going through right now.
Yeah, I think this world would be such a better place if we all could empathize with the other person and just be a little bit more kinder. How do you, Aditi, since you are like out there on social media, you're putting out a part of yourself on social media. How do you react to the negativity that's out there? Does it affect you
It is
sometimes?
challenging. Yeah, it is challenging. Honestly, sometimes that's why sometimes you, at least for me, I can just speak about myself that I also want to. I feel like I want to take a break sometimes from social media because I don't want everything to be put out. It obviously comes with its positive and negatives. Even with the positive, that sometimes you just feel like you want to be on your own, just concentrate on the work that you're doing. You don't want a lot of comments. You don't want to entertain anything. But it takes a lot of balancing to do in terms of how you see things on social media, how you accept it or read things. In fact, that's the reason I feel like last few months I've been not as active as I was. And the reason for that is just I just want to concentrate on the work that I'm doing, and I don't want a lot of people to comment or have opinions, because right now what matters is my opinion. Right now what matters is what I am doing. And when you get results, when you are back and you're doing well, there'll be a lot of support. But this right now, when you're going through the struggle or the challenging phase, the people who stick by you, who are around you, that is what matters. Those are the people who matter at the end of the day. So for me, that's very, very important, and I hold them very close to my heart.
One of the positives about difficult time is that it tells you who the real
Yes.
people in your life are.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
There's some questions that came from some of the people on Twitter. Roshan had asked, are you planning to come back in the upcoming IWL season?
Yes, yes, that's the aim. That's the reason why I've put in so much work this past 1 year. The idea and the aim was always, I started the sport on my terms. I Nobody supported. No had People had a lot of apprehensions and weren't sure what, football, women football, how far, what would you do. But I still chose the sport. So I started playing the sport because of the pure love for the game. I truly enjoy playing football. And I feel like I want to retire also on my terms. I want to, say my goodbye on the field, not like this. So hoping that I can make a comeback this season.
Do you plan on doing the commentary on a regular basis?
I'm not sure this season. If I'm playing, obviously it can't be on a regular basis. Again, I don't want to spread myself too thin. I did that, and I know that it's very, very challenging. But yes, I would continue doing things here and there. I still want to, because I enjoy broadcasting as well. I enjoy commentary as well. So you would see me or you would hear me through the season somewhere or the other, but might not be as regularly as I did last season.
Yeah, I did a podcast with Shreya also a couple of months back, and she had so many praises about you. I think who's your go-to person when it comes to taking advices?
I mean, Asha obviously is the person who I'm very close to. We talk about football all the time. We talk about the team also all the time. Obviously, she's the captain, so she's very emotional about it. So we discuss a lot about football between us.
Yeah. And who's the athlete that inspires you the most?
Right now, honestly, I can only think of Vinesh Fogart. The way yeah, she's done, I just spoke about her, and right now she's the one who's, for me, she's highest rated, because I know physically is one thing, but mentally to go through what she's gone through, and to be at a place where she was, is just demands demands utmost respect, and I highly value what she's done. A lot of respect from for her. But apart from that, growing up, obviously, Neuer was the goalkeeper that I looked up to. Hope Solo was another goalkeeper, and I was so fortunate that I met her. It was a dream come true, and I was awestruck, when I actually met her. Yeah, these would be the athletes that I look up to.
Yeah. Shaggy has asked, is Karnataka producing the next generation of women footballers?
I feel like the women's football is the good thing is that women's football is growing all around the country. Earlier, when women's football, when we talked about women's football, it was usually players from Manipur who would dominate even the national team. Maybe out of 11, the first 11, maybe one or two player of us would be from outside Manipur, but all of them would be from Manipur. But now you have some amazing talent coming from Tamil Nadu, from Karnataka as well. Haryana being one another state that's producing some great talent. So that's a huge positive that now there are other states also coming up and contributing and developing players.
Aditi, any final words? And also, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
5 years is a very, very long time.
Two कर लेते हैं, अच्छा.
I am honestly right now, if I had to tell you the truth, I'm just focusing and concentrating only on the season. I honestly want to get back on the field, see how I feel, see how I'm moving, see how much of an impact I'm able to make on the field. Am I able to stand on the meet the expectations that I have for myself? That's important for me. Once I do that, then I'll decide what I want to do next. Whether it's another season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, we'll see. But yeah, I know that the end of my career is closer to it was to the big league, So that I know, but how long do I keep playing is, I mean, I think time will tell that.
You live life on your own terms, and that's something
Yeah,
that you decide on your own terms. And I'm sure
yeah.
one thing you'll continue to do, Aditi, is just to inspire all of us, because you're doing an incredible job at that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Aditi.
My
Very grateful
pleasure,
to
my
you,
pleasure.
and hope to see you soon.
Great chatting with you, Akshita. Thank you.